Well, the question I came up to ask, a number of years ago, I was really disconnected on an issue related to my business. And whenever I thought about it, this fear came up.
Because
my inner being wasn't seeing it the way that I was seeing it.
Brilliant. And say it. I was wrong.
And I was
wrong. We're just saying. There's a truth that I've carved out of life that I am currently defying with my opinion.
Okay. Well, I did something which I get, again, was really wrong. But when I took your emotional guidance scale and I just looked at emotion and I looked at my life and it was fabulous, and I thought there's no reason for me to be fearful, because I didn't understand all of this then, and I'm obviously still not understanding all of it now. But I remember just thinking there's no logical reason why this fear exists. So I just sat down one day in my living room and I thought, okay, I'm really safe here. And I just wanted to feel this fear. And where it came from was, I remember reading that energy can't be created or destroyed. It only changes form. Is that true?
Well, every thought that has ever been thought exists. Mm-hmm. And law of attraction manages all of that. So when you focus upon something that causes you to conjure a vibration, now you have access to it. And when you focus differently, you have different access to different things. So it's a way of saying that it all exists, and I don't have to try to eliminate it from the universe in order to not experience it. I can focus myself into something preferred as easily as I can focus myself into something not preferred.
Okay. Well, what I did, because I didn't know how to refocus my thinking, and I was definitely not in touch with I was in touch with my feelings, but anyway, I just thought, right, well, I'm just going to go with this fear and see what happens and just hope I don't self-destruct. So I just sat there and I felt the fear, and it just grew and grew, and then all of a sudden it vanished. And I never felt it again.
Because, get ready for it. Because when you focused upon the emotion, you went general. And when you went general, you moved right into alignment with who you are. In other words, it's focusing upon the specifics of what causes the fear. You focused upon the emotion, not the reason for it. And when you focused upon the emotion, now you're focused upon a vibrational response, not the reason for it. Can you feel that?
Yeah.
It's sort of like surrendering. It's also like making peace with it. It's like accepting it and not pushing against it. And when you cease the struggle, then Jerry, who for years has been a counselor of people relative to finances, he wanted to help people have financial well-being. And when he first began interacting with us, he said, Abraham, sometimes, in fact often, in fact nearly always, when a person is having financial decline, the first evidence is they lose peripheral things like the boat that they really don't need, and then the second car, and then they lose a car, and then they lose a house, and then invariably, once they hit the bottom, they begin bouncing back up. Jerry says, my question is, why can't they begin the bounce sooner? Why does it have to go all the way down before they begin moving back up? And we explained that while they're moving down, they're clinging to what they might lose. They're focused upon what's going wrong. They're struggling and therefore resistant and therefore not buoyant. But once they hit the bottom, they give in to it. They give up. They stop the struggle. And in the absence of resistance, they move right back up. And it's the same thing that you're talking about.
Okay. What was really interesting was once the fear had gone.
What is fear?
An emotion, a disconnection from...
Fear is the indication of
me not being connected with Source.
It's the indication, fear is the indication of me focused in opposition to what I want, and me focused in opposition to who I really am.
Yeah.
So when the fear went away, what does that mean? My focus in opposition to who I am was no longer active within me. And then what happened?
Well, there was just this void. It was so calm. It was beautiful. It was...
absence of discomfort.
Yeah.
An alignment with Source.
So what did I need to do then? Because then there was I remember you saying that sometimes bad feeling is better than no feeling, and I kind of felt that. I thought, God, have I fried my brain or something? Because
but the reason that this is so good on the heels of what we were just talking about is because when you accept that the creative process is really 3 steps. The first step is ask and you've done it. The second step is Source becomes what you've asked for. And the third step is get out of the way and don't do anything that messes it up.
And that's just what I did, wasn't it?
In other words, as we were talking about that earlier, once you've defined what you want, if you're not offering any vibration that opposes it, then it is, and it is instantaneously. And so what it really comes down to is how much have you decided that you need to suffer before you allow yourself the receiving of what you want? It all comes back to your need to prove your way there. And a lot of the conversation here today has been about that too. Is it so hard for you to accept that good things are supposed to happen to you? So then why am I here? Why am I sifting and sorting through all of this? In order to define your preferences. Really? Not to prove worthiness? No. You're here to define what you want. And once you define what you want, everything is moving toward the completion of that. Endlessly, you say.
Well, can you clarify for me? Because I think where I get caught is I feel I should know what I want. And
don't
yet,
you? Now be careful, because this is a trick question. I think I should know what I want. Now, here's another question. I think I should know the means to which I will achieve what I want. What is it that I want? Alignment. What is it I want? Happiness. What is it that I want? Fullness. What is it that I want? What I want. What I want. What I want. What I want. What I always want. What I've always wanted. What I always will want. I want to be alive and focused in this moment with the fullness of who I am present in this moment. That's what I want. It's all I've ever wanted. It's all I will ever want. I want the fullness of who I am to be present in this moment. I want the fullness of who I am to be present in this moment. So now take the fullness of who you are and let's make it present in any moment. What does that mean? I'm making love to my love. And the fullness of who I am is present in this moment. Think you're going to like it? We think you're going to like it. I'm sitting at a meal that has been beautifully prepared, and I want the fullness of who I am to be present in this moment. Think you're going to like it? We think you're going to like it. I'm having a conversation with someone who I am appreciating. And the fullness of who I am is present in this moment. Think you're going to enjoy this conversation? We think you're going to enjoy this conversation. I'm looking out into the world and realizing that there are improvements that could be made. And the fullness of who I am is present in this moment. Think I'm going to have a good idea? Think I'm going to have a good idea. Think I'm going to like it? I think I'm going to like it. You see what we're getting at? Yeah. That's what you all always and only want. I want the fullness of who I am to be present in this moment. Now, what are we really saying? We're saying that incrementally you've been sifting and sorting, and you have created this fullness which we've been calling the vortex. And when you are caring about the emotion and the emotion only, so that you're tuning yourself to the resonance of all of that, now all of that is going to play out in such delicious format. Alignment first, manifestation next. Alignment first, manifestation next.
So I just got to feel good, and
I just want to
feel good.
It's not, because when you say I've got to feel good, what you're saying is I have an ulterior motive in feeling good. I'm going to feel good so that I can manifest things that when I look at them do feel good. And we say there's a big disconnect in there. Yeah. I want to feel good because I want to feel good, and because nothing less than feeling good is who I am. I want to rendezvous with my fullness. That's what you want, don't you?
Absolutely.
When you're confused, isn't it weird? When you're disconcerted, isn't it weird? When you're angry, isn't it weird? We want you to feel the weirdness of not allowing the wholeness of who you are. It's interesting because you come to a gathering. Some of you have been hanging around this body of work and this presenter of it for a long time, for quite a long time. And it's satisfying to you as we ramble and you listen, and we ramble and you listen, and we ramble and you listen, until we offer a vibration of who you really are long enough that with your willingness to listen, you begin to resonate with it. And then you become so clear. You know what we know. Every word we speak makes sense to you. You rendezvous out here on the leading edge with us. You witness someone who is doing that in the moment. And you find the conversation different than any conversation nearly that you would have. Oh, there are a lot of people tuned in. Basketball players all the time. Sporting figures all the time. Authors and poets and artists. There are all kinds of people who are rendezvousing with the whole of who they are and expressing life in those more brilliant and more beautiful ways, you see. But when you accept that that's all that anyone is ever reaching for, and then you notice that on the whole, how the majority of the world would call this experience weird. In other words, you're reaching for it with all that you've got and resisting it at the same time. Because, for so many reasons, you're trying to prove your own worthiness instead of just accepting it. You're trying to justify your reason for existence instead of just being it. In other words, there are just all kinds of thinking perspectives that you've just sort of tied yourself into a knot about, when what you really want, and the reason that you want it all, is because it feels good when you allow the wholeness of who you are to be present in any moment.
Yeah.
We're going to have a good afternoon together. There is no homework during lunch. We've enjoyed this.
Thank you.
Good time for a segment of reflection.